Ah, the dreaded bubbles, or as I call them, resin zits. Hi, it's Dale from Elephant Memories, and in this video, we're going to show you how you can fix these unsightly zits. There are many causes for these, but regardless of the cause, they can ruin an expensive project. I was so excited to try a new ultra color shifting pigment called RYU Dragon from Eye Candy Pigments for a custom serving tray. Unfortunately, something came up shortly after I poured the resin in the mold, so I wasn't able to give it the attention I should have. It was looking fine when I left the studio. When I returned the next day, I saw that the top had only a few blemishes. But once it was unmolded, I was mortified to see the entire bottom was covered in unsightly resin zits. Take a breath. It's okay. We can fix this. First, we ran it through the planer. Sometimes that's actually enough to get rid of surface bubbles. Then we started a rough sanding using 80 grit paper to level the surface and remove some of the marks from the planer. You can clearly see the bubbles here, and they are now filled with sawdust. Do not use any liquid to clean this right now, or it will just be cemented in, and you will not be able to make them disappear. Instead, use compressed air to remove all of the debris from the entire surface, including the sides. Take your time with this because it's very important. Once you're satisfied that the dust has been removed, you're going to clean the surface with denatured alcohol. Just dampen a rag and quickly wipe down all the sides. Using alcohol is a great way to get a sneak peek at the wood grains and the colors too. Now let this dry. It actually doesn't take long. A nice little tip is to attach risers using painter's tape on the top and bottom of the board, keeping it on the wood part if possible. We'll be adding a very thin layer of resin, so we'll be able to flip and work both sides since most of the bubbles were on the bottom. Now mix a small amount of clear resin. I am starting with the top and spreading a thin layer of resin on any bubbles and filling in a tiny hole in the wood. Now flip the board over. First, I'm filling in some cracks in a knot on the wood. Then start working the bubbles. I'm using a silicone brush to spread a thin layer of clear resin on the entire area. You really want to work the resin in by gently pushing down, working it in circles, even scraping and reworking the resin. A tiny amount of air can be trapped in the bubbles when you first put the clear resin on. By working the resin around like this, it helps to release the air, and the clear resin will fill in the void, and the bubbles will just disappear. When you're done working the resin in, you'll pop additional bubbles using a butane torch. Do not overheat the resin. Be sure to keep the flame moving back and forth. This adds a small amount of heat, which will further help the clear resin to seep deeply into the more pesky bubbles. Now let this set up for 48 hours. Once again, sand with 80 grit paper to level the surface. We also trimmed all 4 sides and routed the edges. Next, we sanded with 120, 180, 220, and finish sanded with 400 grit paper. Check to be sure all the bubbles were filled in. You can repeat the entire process if you missed some bubbles. Otherwise, clean your surface with a rag damp with denatured alcohol. Now you want to apply a wood conditioner. We like to use an all-natural wood serum from bumbleshoots to hydrate the wood. Let it really soak in and repeat. When that's done, we use an all-in-one wood conditioning wax to protect and preserve the wood. Congratulations! You now have a flawless charcuterie board, serving tray, or river table. This technique also works to remove scratches that may have accumulated on old projects too. If you found this video helpful, please give us the thumbs up and check the subscribe button. We really appreciate your support. We'll see you next time.